Hey everybody, I'm Ryan with Propelio. Today we have Elizabeth Navarrete.
Yes,
Is
that's
that how you
close.
say it? Navarrete?
Yeah, that's close.
No?
It's Navarrete, but Navarrete works perfectly.
Good luck getting that out of my mouth. She is an investor, an agent out of Houston with us today. So thank you so much for coming out.
Sure,
that's
thank
pretty
you
cool.
for having me.
Before we get into that, as always, if you're watching this for the first time, who we are, what we are Propelio. Propelio is a source that you can use as an investor to get access to true MLS comps, to get access to off-market leads, have a free lead management system, and then coming soon we will have websites for investors.
Awesome.
So our goal is to be your one-stop shop for an investor, and it's a fairly cost-effective option.
Sure.
So check out Propelio.com if you need comps and if you never learn about us. So there you go.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
So as far as what we're talking about today, we're talking about reinventing yourself. So
Yep.
let's just get straight into it.
Sure.
Let's hear who you are, talk about what
Okay.
that means to you, and let's just go.
Well, I'm a social worker at heart. That was what I was doing before getting into real estate, really.
Uh-huh.
I was a social worker for about 12 years.
That's all about helping people, right?
Helping people, yes. Well, it's not really
Mind
helping.
the coaching.
It
I mean,
really
it
is helping.
is. There's no
It's
quotations
about
there.
not making money. That's pretty much what it is. Helping people, but not making money.
Got
The
it.
pay was the gratitude and the experience of helping others and make a difference in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working as a school counselor. Then I worked as an HIV education prevention educator. So it was just, that was what I was doing. And then I got into real estate. It was one of those things that I was just tired. It was the summer. I was ready to do something different, and I was motivated to get into real estate, which I was like, well, I don't sell anything. I
Right.
help people, but I don't really think I have the skill set to sell anything. So
But I'm not an agent, but as an agent, isn't it about helping people?
it totally is.
And not
Yeah.
really selling it, but like, hey,
Correct.
does this meet your needs?
Right, and then the skill set from being a social worker about listening, knowing what people's needs are, helping address their needs, that totally fit in perfectly with becoming a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I decided to become a realtor, and I enjoyed it. I was completely lost, but I really, really enjoyed getting to getting into training and
Right.
learning what it was to be an agent.
So let me translate what I just heard. In no disrespect to the social workers out there.
Sure.
One summer day, you open up your wallet and you saw a moth fly away. I'm kidding.
Totally, yeah. Actually, I didn't even have a wallet, so it was a little coin purse.
It was a rubber band.
Yeah, it was a little rubber band, which is coins. No, I mean, it was a
Right.
little coin purse, literally, and I really wasn't making any money. And
Yeah.
it was really sad because I was working long hours, 12, 14 hours, and taking a lot of work back home with me. And that needed to change.
So when you said, "Oh, let's get into real estate, let's become a realtor," like, is that just because you saw a bunch of TV shows? Did you have a friend, a mentor?
Yeah, I actually had Nelson, which is my husband and my business partner.
Mm-hmm.
He was in mortgages. He was a mortgage broker, and he had been doing really, really well for a couple of years prior to meeting me. And so when he met me, and he was like, "Well, what are you doing in social work?" Because he would see the long hours, how tired I was, and I really wasn't. It was kind of a rat race. I really wasn't getting anywhere.
Right.
So he was like, "You should definitely become a realtor. That would be great. You can set your own hours." So now that's where we put the quotes. You put your own hours in,
Right.
which really it's 24/7.
Right.
And you can make as much money as effort that you put into it. So I said, okay, let's do it. And he's the one that motivated me and actually mentored me into getting into real estate.
Well, that's cool. It's always fun to hear people's stories of how they go from
Yes.
here to there to there to here. So obviously we're all about investing here.
Yes.
There's not necessarily a hard line between realtors and investors because most realtors also invest.
Correct.
And a lot of realtors or a lot of investors are also agents and realtors themselves.
Sure.
So how long was that journey to become from, say, an agent realtor to, okay, let's dabble in this whole investment game?
It actually happened quite quickly because of the fact that when I started my career in real estate, it was more like I was studying here in Houston, but I was traveling to Chicago where Nelson was at, and where he had his mortgage company, and I was just shadowing him, seeing what it was like, and then we started investing quite quite fast. I got my license in 2003, and in 2004, we were already investing in Chicago.
So are you still investing in Chicago?
We're going back. We're
'Cause
planning
guess what?
on going back. You're
Propelio
going
is
to
in
Chicago.
We're already in
You're in
Chicago.
Chicago. Great. Okay. I didn't know
Subtle
that.
plug.
Awesome.
We're going to get a button here for every time we do a subtle plug.
Okay.
Subtle plug. Anyway.
Love it. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, we started in 2004 investing in Chicago, but we weren't very hardcore. We were doing it, but we had a lot of people that were helping us do it. So we were just kind of like doing, it seemed more like it was a TV show. Somebody would do the acquisitions for us and the marketing for us and getting us the property, and we were just going in and, very, very passive, but it was exciting because it was good. There were good times. 2003, 2004 were awesome times in real estate.
Well, that's cool that you were in it beforehand, because it seems like in investing world, there's a lot of people that are, because this is one of those, like you said, 24/7 type games,
Yes.
where you can get very knowledgeable very quickly,
Yes.
and you could be an expert like in a year or two.
Right.
You know, and I've been doing this for several years, but I would never even say I'm an expert. I'm just goofy on camera.
Yep.
You know,
Yep,
I know
I
a
agree.
couple of things, but
Sure.
but it's really cool that you're here and you're like, I was here in the good times before the crash, and because a lot of people don't know that pain of being wiped out.
It's very devastating. It's very difficult because, again, like I was saying, good times in 2003, 2004, especially Chicago, people would be able to refinance 100% on their properties versus here in Texas, it was only up to 80%. So we were a lot more conservative. But in Chicago, it was different. Values were inflating like crazy, and people refinancing every year almost. So it seems like they were cashing out every year, and it was great. We were just selling left and right, and Nelson was refinancing. It was, I'm telling you, good times.
So when the 07, 08, 09 hit, what happened?
That was difficult. We had to pretty much sell off our office in Chicago. So no more Chicago and the dream life over there, because it's fun. Chicago's a great city.
Right.
And so we decided to just stay here in Texas, and we ended up starting to buy properties wholesale. And it was before it was very saturated. It's a very saturated market now, which is great. I mean, that's fantastic, but it was very clear then. It was very easy to navigate and get properties at that time.
So basically you had to reinvent yourself.
I did. That's the second time that I had to reinvent myself because, you know, I was mainly in during those times. Yes, we were in 2003, 2004. Actually, 2004, we were flipping in Chicago, but I was more retail agent here in Houston. So I was, you know, lugging around, helping buyers, which is great. You know, I was helping buyers, and I wasn't listing that much, but I was mainly working with buyers, driving around all of the city, trying to find homes and things like that. And I had a nice pipeline during the weekend, and then one fine day we just got emails from lenders saying our doors are closed, that's it, thank you for your, you know, business, and it's been a great run. And that was that. And that's from, you know, from a nice 20, you know, buyer pipeline, I went down to 0. So that's where we had to reinvent ourselves in having to sell off in Chicago, start to invest here. But, you know, it was one of those sudden things. It wasn't like we planned it or we were like, okay, let's do the transition.
So what do you do when all of a sudden your buyers are gone? At the time, were you mainly wholesaling? Were you fix and flipping? Were you turnkey? What was your strategy
We
back
were
then?
fix and flipping. We weren't really wholesaling, and that's when we were guided by somebody in the industry that knew a lot more about wholesaling than we did. And he started guiding us and telling us, okay, this is how you wholesale, this is how you obtain properties. And there were so many sellers in distress, obviously,
Right.
because people were, you know, their values of their properties were so low. They owed so much to the bank. And
But
so
that sounds like more of a short sale than a wholesale.
Right, we did short sale, but some people just wanted out. And so, and they were already like behind on taxes, behind on mortgage payments. And so that's where we came in. And we just, depending on what the property, what the situation was with the property, then we would figure out what the exit strategy was.
Because I know a lot of investors like that were in the crash that got wiped out.
Yes.
And then there was a lot of people that got into investing right as everybody got wiped out. And if in an 08, if you were able to get in the business with a wallet,
Right.
you basically won the lottery because everybody was selling left and right.
Yes, yes.
So I understand having to shut down Chicago.
Yes.
Where were y'all? Did y'all have kind of a cash reserve to
We did.
not only just stay alive, but also kind of reap the rewards?
What helped the fact is we sold the Chicago office. We sold everything there. And so that helped put us in a better situation here. That's why we decided to come here to Texas and invest hardcore, was because the values of the properties were still lower, much lower than Chicago. Chicago, we would have been wiped out immediately.
Right.
But here, it was easier to obtain properties that way.
So I guess my biggest question about the Chicago is
Yes.
the person that bought, or the corporation or whoever bought Chicago, your company up there.
Yes.
Were they able to succeed, or did they ultimately fail? Or
They were able to succeed. We had a really nice portfolio of clients. It was a business that was running for so many years, and it was very, very successful. So we were able to get a couple of investors together, and they saw the value in it, and we saw the out, and we made it work for all parties involved.
And on that, I think it sounds like y'all are, you and Nelson are, I don't want to say, obviously smart is just easy word to throw out there, but there's so many times the writing's on the wall,
Right.
and people can't see it. They don't
Right.
read it.
Right.
And we talk about that here all the time, about how, don't, even if you know it's going to be a $5,000 loss today, don't keep digging in and then tomorrow have a $20,000
That's right.
loss. Just take the 5,000 loss and move on.
Right.
Lick your wounds, keep going.
Correct.
So, and I'm not saying y'all took a loss or anything, but most people wouldn't have sold. They would have kept going and going and
Right.
going, because they don't want to accept, selling a business is always sounds like a successful thing, but
Right. It's
the point
not
the
always.
point I'm trying to make is,
Right.
emotionally that could have felt like a failure.
It was very difficult, for sure, because Nelson was born in Chicago, raised in Chicago, and so that was his city. And he
Right.
worked a lot to build that office up. I mean, he started with a fax machine in his bedroom. Sorry, hon, I'm disclosing your secrets.
What's a
He
fax
Yeah,
machine?
a fax machine. He would pick up a fax machine and do his marketing in his
that
bedroom.
thing with dial tones?
Yes,
Doot, doot,
yep,
doot.
AOL and
With
all
a
that good
cord
stuff.
and everything.
Yeah, for internet. Yeah, so that's how he started. And so
Yeah.
it was something that he built by himself and then made it grow so intensely.
Right.
And we did have to take a loss. I'm not going to say that it was all, amazing and perfect. We did have to negotiate, and we did take a loss from what we originally wanted to sell, but it was time to get out.
But again, though, being able to see the writing on the wall is so pivotal.
Yes.
So kudos to the both of you, because
Thank you.
because again, there's so many people who would have probably ridden that train all the way to complete failure.
And a lot of our colleagues did, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and it was really terrible to see.
So
Yep.
so you're out of Chicago, now you're in Houston.
Yep.
You're getting into wholesaling.
Yes.
Where are you now? Like, are you? Because it sounded like before you had Chicago and Houston.
Now it's only Chicago.
Now it's only Houston.
Yes, only Houston. Sorry.
So
Yes.
are you kind of more reserved in your thinking? Like, oh, we just saw what happened up there. Let's take baby steps, or are we like, hey, let's infuse in Houston with all that cash capital that we got from Chicago?
Well, we started slow because that wasn't, again, when we were doing flipping in Chicago or acquisitions in Chicago, it wasn't us really hands-on. We had people to do it for us and help us. So here it was just him and I back to square one. We didn't have a company and employees and all this stuff. It was just us. And we had to figure out, what are we going to do? We have a high mortgage here. We have several cars that we don't really need. You know what I mean? Because good times means that we were just
You want
spending money.
toys.
We had tons of stuff that we didn't really need.
Right.
And so we had to really downsize and scale down what we had. And it was okay, because that made us, it makes you so raw to the core, to see that you had all this, and then you're like, from having to go to the grocery store and not even need a shopping list, you just go and buy whatever, and if you know what I mean. And then from there, it's like, woo, going down, just us two. We didn't have an office. We were working from home. It was so different.
I will say, one of the coolest things that I've ever done, cool now, is when I was 29, I went over to Dubai and lived overseas and worked
cool.
overseas for like a year and a half.
Sure.
But the lead up to that was, well, sell the car, sell this, sell that, get rid of that, throw this way. And I literally, everything I owned was like in 2 duffel bags.
Yep.
And it's a little bit nerve wracking at the time, but then
Yes.
you're like, but then when I came back, I was like, do you really need stuff?
Yep.
You
You
know,
don't.
yeah, we want our toys, but there's
Sure.
so much stuff that you don't necessarily need that it's kind of
Correct.
cool.
Yes.
So it sounds like y'all were able to have a similar feat out of necessity versus just hey, let's just make a
Yes.
random decision.
Yep. And instead of holding on to things, we held on to each other.
Oh.
We were like, yes, I know, love plug in there.
Sweet.
We did. We were like, we are all we have. We have our parents, we have our families, but technically in this business, we are all we have. We have each other. So
Right.
we have to make something work. And he's very brilliant, and of course, I'm a smart lady as well. So we both figured out what we needed to do slowly. It wasn't night to day, and we knew, and we had it all figured out, and it was perfection. We had to lay a foundation, and it took time.
I like the fact that you talk about foundation, because in this business, there's always a ton of people that we talk about here a lot about, the raw work. You
Yes.
just got to do the work,
Right.
and there is that. But at the same time, there is that you got to crawl before you walk, before you run, before
Totally.
you sprint, before you get in your Lambo and fly away.
For sure.
So some people, they want to go from the hands and knees to the Lambo,
Right.
and maybe they don't want to work, so it's kind of cool that here we're talking about. When did you you said it's 03, 04?
03 is when I got my license.
Okay.
04 was when we were investing in Chicago.
Okay.
And then 07 is when we sold the mortgage company in Chicago.
But what we're talking about, like a
then here.
15-year career though,
Yes.
in this business, at
Yes.
least with if your involvement.
Correct. My
Right.
involvement. Yes. 15
So, but
years.
it's cool to go through that whole transition.
It's really awesome because I've grown so much, just on my own and in my career, and I've seen so many aspects, and I'm still learning.
Right.
Like you said earlier, you're an expert and all that. We're experts, but we really aren't, because things still happen that we're like, I never saw that coming. Like I would have never expected that to happen to me.
One of the things I like to say is if you think you're an expert in this business,
You're not.
go look in a mirror,
Yep.
or not an expert. You think you know everything, go in the mirror and slap yourself.
Yep.
Hey, Travion, you have a typo on your thingy there. Anyway.
You caught that?
I did. I'm
Yeah,
watching.
Yeah.
So, so we're talking about the investing, talking about the reinventing yourself. So, there's so many times you have to reinvent yourself, just in life, which is
Sure.
just in any field, in any
Yep.
profession. But you're talking about being a social worker, then being a realtor, then being an investor, then being a highly successful investor, then having to maybe put on the brakes.
Yep.
Not so much throw in reverse, but let's take a second and pause.
Yes.
So now you're in Houston, you're walking, you're wholesaling. What's the
Right.
next step? How are you reinventing yourself in Houston?
Well, in Houston, what we do now is we do a little bit of everything. We pretty much have, our company is a one-stop shop type of thing. We do wholesaling. We have a group of people that help us with the marketing, and we do the postcards. We do everything that we need, bandit signs, whatever it is we need. We have, hunters, I was gonna say, bird dogs as well.
Yep.
And then we also do the fix and flip. And that's where that portion of it, there was a lot of learning with the fix and flip here, because we didn't have contractors. We had to start new all over again. We knew the concept, but we really didn't have a contractor or a company that we could go to. And that was the lesson, the biggest lesson of them all was that. Working with a contractor. That was a huge lesson.
So you
for
never
us.
worked with a contractor up in Chicago?
We did in Chicago, but we didn't have anybody in Houston.
You didn't have anybody you trusted.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
So we were starting from scratch all over again. That was a little frustrating, because we knew what we wanted to do, and we're not in construction. So at that time, we didn't know what exactly it entailed for us to start it. So of course we had to have somebody else come in and do it for us. And so that was a learning lesson for us, working with a contractor.
So when you working with a contractor, do you have a team? Do you have the go-to team you go to? Do you have crews?
We have 35 people on our team.
Nice.
So we have several crews, and we have our own rehab and construction company. So we have it for ourselves now.
So when you say 35 people,
Yeah.
is that you and Nelson in the office and 33 contractors?
30.
Or do you have your acquisitions team, your dispositions team?
That's just our rehab team, our rehab and construction crew. These are our plumbers, our electricians, our floor and start, full time for us.
Wow, that's
yes.
nice.
And so the benefit here is that they work for us, but we're flipping about 2 houses a month, just that, just to put it in broad terms.
Right.
Some houses take a little bit longer, and sometimes we're doing 3 or 4 at the same time. But technically, it's 2 a month. And what happens is that to keep our team busy, our crews busy, we also do rehabs for other investors.
So you kind of reinvented yourself.
Again, that's key. That's
what you gotta
the
do.
focus of
So you have your
discussion.
full-time people, but then
Yes.
you've almost kind of made your way into being a GC as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
Kind of, yes, pretty
Okay.
much. We don't subcontract anything out. Everything stays in-house. We do everything in-house. We have our project managers. We have everyone that does all our work for us. So we don't subcontract anything out to anyone.
That's nice, because
Yes.
then it's like,
Keep the cost
if
low
there,
too.
well, if there are any change orders or there are any problems, you only have yourself or your team to blame. And if you're the
Yes.
boss, are you really blaming the team, or are you blaming yourself for
Yep.
not proper management?
Right, and that's key, because you have a lot of people, especially in Houston right now with Harvey. Everything that happened in Harvey, we have these.
I wanted to get into that,
Yes, we have all of these Harvey. I call them YouTube contractors, and some of the people watching me in Houston know that I say this a lot. You have YouTube contractors that came out of the waters after Harvey,
Right.
and now everybody thinks they're a contractor. Everybody thinks that they can just have a demo crew and that they're now a contractor, or they can put tile and they're now a contractor, or they can spray bleach and now they're a contractor, mold remediation. It's not that simple. Having a rehab and construction company takes a lot of responsibility, a lot of management, and that's where Nelson steps in. That's his main thing, because he has to be on top of, even though we have 35 people and we do have project managers that oversee, ultimately he's the one that has to put the face with the client. Do you see what I mean?
I do. Before
Yeah.
we get too far into the contracting
Yes.
world, before we get too far into the Harvey, I do want to say, if you're watching us today, please give us a like, please give us a share. We do this every day, trying to bring as much value to the people watching. That's how we met you.
Yes.
Is like, hey, this is kind of cool.
Yep.
So if you like it, give us a like. Please give us a share. We need the help. If you've never checked out Propelio before, we do this every day. So go to our little video section and just look at all the videos. We've got tons of videos, tons of content that you can kind of tap into. Give us a like on our page. We love.
Yep.
If you've never heard of Elizabeth before, go check her out. I'm sure she'll add you as a friend. I don't know. She
For
seems
sure.
like a nice
Of course
lady.
I will. Yes, please do.
And then as far as Propelio, if you've never checked out Propelio, go to Propelio.com. We've got access to true MLS comps, access to off-market leads, and then also probate leads.
That's
yeah.
awesome, because that's super valuable.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
have
all the leads are valuable.
Yes.
It's just a matter of,
Yes.
of reinventing yourself to
Exactly.
target them.
Yes.
And that's marketing. That's a whole other flair.
Sure.
So, but Harvey was relatively recent.
Yes.
We're still in that 08, 09 era.
Right.
So 2010 to pre-Harvey, is it matter just growing your business back and getting to the point where it's like, okay, now, because 35 people of a contractor crew, that's a ton of people.
It is. It's a big crew.
Like,
yes.
and to be able to maintain that, like you
Yes.
said, you're running 2 houses a month. Some people might not think, oh, that's a lot or that's a little. It just
Right.
depends on your perspective.
Correct.
At the end of the day, in my point of view, is if you're doing deals, it doesn't matter. Good for you.
Right.
If you're a 1 deal a year person, good for you.
Exactly. The thing
know?
is actually, if especially people that are watching us that want to start, that are in corporate America
Right.
or are working, flipping burgers, whatever it is that you're doing, and you want to get started, just the point is starting. Even if it's
Yeah.
just 1 deal, even if it's 1 flip, even if it's just do it. The
Yeah.
experience that you obtain is so valuable, because you'll apply it to your next one, and before you know it, it'll be something huge. But you just have to take baby steps, like
Yeah,
you said
because
earlier.
I think too often in any lifestyle, in any business, in anything, people would maybe throw their nose at somebody. It's like, oh, you're only doing 10 deals a year. It's
Right.
like, yeah, but that's 10 deals a year that are
Right.
maybe you're not wholesaling, you're flipping. I mean, anyway,
Sure.
kudos to you if you're doing anything.
Right.
That's my point on that.
Correct. Yes, and of course, with time, we first started with the small homes, a $35,000 home, that ARV $100,000. We started with small homes. Now we're doing $1.5 million flips,
Right.
but we're still doing the small ones. You see, it's not like we're, like you said, putting our nose in the air and say, well, that's not our thing anymore. We're doing it all. Wherever we see that their numbers make sense and it's a deal, we'll do it.
And I love that you said that, because one of the things Daniel always says is, because people are like, what are your criteria? And he's like, I don't buy houses, I buy numbers.
Yep,
You
that's
know?
exactly right.
He's like, I don't care what
That's
the
it.
deal is, if the numbers make sense, I'm going to buy it.
Yep, that's
You
exactly
know,
right.
and that's how I think everybody should be, because
Right.
too often you bring in your baggage, your emotional components to a deal when you shouldn't.
Right, I agree. And I think going off of that, I think that what happened here after 2007, 2008 hit, and it took us time to realize what is it that we wanted to do, how we were going to make it happen. We had a goal and dream, and we do a lot of our goals, which is so funny. A lot of people may not be this way. We do a lot of ours on napkins. We have a lot of napkin goal-setting dreams.
You have a wall of napkins?
We have some saved. We have a very special place where we save our goals, and it's so cute, because it's like it's just one of those things we do in the moment. It's like we have an idea, I have an idea, Ernesto has an idea. We'll sit down and just scribble it. If we're eating or we're just having lunch, and it's just like they end up happening in napkins, and those are the ones that exploded the most.
So what are your current goals?
Our current goals, well, we actually want to start developing and investing back in Chicago.
Okay.
That's one of our goals. Nelson is not too keen on it because of the cold, but I want to go back. Chicago is booming all over again. So much development, so much is going on. The city is very busy and buzzing right now. So,
Well, that's fun.
yeah.
I mean, I think I would be super nervous, because it's nerve-wracking buying and selling houses you've never seen.
Sure.
But then actually trying to buy houses or projects that you've never seen in a different state.
Right.
Because any project I'm on that I can't see, it's maybe still like within an hour drive from where I'm at.
Right.
That's a little bit.
The key thing is that we already have some people in place in Chicago
Right.
that are already scoping properties for us. So that helps. We have connections back in Chicago that we
know
left
people.
behind. We know people.
Uh-oh.
We know people.
So
I know a guy.
Going back to the Houston, and
Yes.
Once the Harvey hit, yeah, because I know that because I know in Dallas all of our contractors went down to Houston.
I'm sure.
And
yes.
you were just alluding to earlier that there were a ton of people that were now fly by night. Now I'm a contractor.
Oh yes.
It sounded like by you already having that crew in place that you were protected from so-called contractors, or were you too busy hiring these guys out to do other people that maybe they weren't working on your projects, or were you even working on projects?
We did have some projects, and thankfully none of our projects flooded, so
Okay.
that was key, because we were super nervous. We had just acquired a house right before Harvey was classified as a Category 4, and we were nervous because we closed, and then while we're celebrating, it's like, oh, you now have a hurricane coming your way, and it's Category 4, and we're like, oh my goodness. And
My
it closed-
$20,000 rehab is about to be a $100,000 rehab.
Yes, but it didn't happen. Thank goodness, we were fine. But what happened was we came across several obstacles now with once Harvey hit, because now you have so much work and you have so many people that think that they're experts. But not only that, within our own team, our guys started getting calls from some of our clients to go work for them. And so people were starting to take some of our employees away from us.
Do the headhunter thing.
Yes, and then on top of that, pay went extremely high. So if a worker was making $120 a day, now they're making $170, $180 a day. So that's huge, because that wasn't something we were prepared for.
So how do you have the retention of those guys?
We had to
you
increase.
Just pay more?
We had to pay more. So value of labor
But
has
Nelson
increased.
knows guys from Chicago. Couldn't he bring some people with bats and be like, you really want to leave? You really want to leave?
It happened. It happened
Hypothetically,
to us.
allegedly.
Yes.
I'm not saying that happened,
No,
or
it did
whatever
not.
happened.
But we had to do it. We had to do it, and some guys just decided to go on their own. But what I mentioned earlier is...
So when they come back later and say, hey, can I get a job? Are you vindictive? Be like, no,
No, we've taken some back,
Okay.
but others we haven't because we're to capacity now. We're good where we're at, but it's not easy. And some of these guys think, that even these fly-by-night guys, they think it's easy. Oh, I got a contract to rehab this house. It's going to be great, and I'm just going to pick up some guys. I've heard these people say, I'll pick up some guys at Home Depot, and I'll just I'll put them to work, and I'll make so much money. It's not about that. You need to know how to correctly price things. You need to know if you're going to be doing mold remediation. That's huge. That's something we've come across lately because we've had people that have that flooded several times, not just Harvey, tax day flood, and hurricanes before that, and the mold remediation was not done correctly. So we're opening up sheetrock, and you're seeing mold from years ago, or from the spring, so, which is earlier in the year.
I've always heard. I'm not saying I've ever been a part of this because I've never ever been on a house that had mold, but I've always heard that you should never even use the word mold unless it's been tested. If it hadn't been tested, bleach it, mold it, or it kills it, whatever, but never use the M word because the M word is worse than the other M word.
Right.
Marriage. Don't say that word either. No, but
that's a good
just
one.
kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, it's like you're never supposed to throw that word around unless you're an expert.
I understand.
Have you heard that before, or am I just...
We haven't, because now it's the word that we have heard in Houston since September, since Harvey hit. So it's been one of those things that everybody's talking mold spores. I mean, it's pretty intense. And you still have neighborhoods in Houston that are literally like ghost towns.
Because nobody's gone in there yet?
Nobody's gotten there yet. You still have some people that have trash in their driveway from back then. It's sad. Yep.
So not to stake too much on the construction side, going into the opportunity side. Because I know from an investor, yes, it really hurts my heart. It sucks for these people that lose everything. But as an investor, if you wear your heart on your sleeves, you'll never be able to take advantage of that.
Right.
Take advantage is the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So from the outside looking in, it seems like there's a ton of opportunity to go in there because a lot of these people, they get their insurance payout.
Yes.
And most of them don't necessarily want to fix up the house. They just want to get out.
That's correct.
So how, because I haven't talked to anybody about this. It fascinates me.
Okay.
Have y'all been able to go, oh, okay, my business is just skyrocketed from that, or have you talked to people like that, or am I just way off base?
We've all taken, we've all been able to help in that situation with people that were affected by the flood. And so some people, that's all their business, that they're just buying all these flooded homes.
Houses.
And what they're doing is they're rehabbing them to rental, as a rental, and then they're leasing them out via Section 8, or they're just leasing them out because you have a lot of families that have been displaced.
Right.
So the rental market is very hot in Houston, but the buyers are just everywhere. It's really hard right now to put, I have several colleagues where they've rehabbed their houses and just within a matter of hours, they have multiple offers, or a matter of days, they have multiple offers. Good homes are going really, really fast.
Well, in Dallas, we didn't have a flood, but that's just the same thing.
Yep.
You throw out a house on the market for 170, you're getting offers for 175, 180.
Yes.
If 170 was the number. If the number's actually 140, you're probably still not getting your offer.
Right.
Well, you still have to be, because I read a report, I don't know, several months ago about how in North Texas, it's never been so high that realtors are having to do price reductions on their homes.
Right.
And it's not because the market's slowing, it's just there's so many people going, okay, well, my house is worth 200, let's throw it out there for 250, let's see what happens.
Right, and that's not going to sell.
No,
exactly.
You might get 220, you might get 215, but 250, come on.
Right.
But anyway, going back to Houston.
Yes.
So there's the buyer market's hot. Well, that means a seller's market right now.
Seller's
for you guys.
market, correct.
And then also a lot of these investors are just really jumping on the rental game.
They are, and they're doing really well, especially the ones that are doing Section 8 because they're renting a little bit higher. They can get away with renting a little bit higher, and it's a secure check coming in. Mailbox money every month. It's pretty secure.
So for you guys, are y'all still trying to? Okay, we learned our lesson in Chicago 15 years ago. Yes, we could probably scale up to 15 houses, but let's keep it 2 to 3 to 4.
The
Where are y'all at right now?
Yeah, well, the thing is that we decided now with the flood, we had several amazing opportunities fall on our lap pretty much, and so that's where we decided to pull the plug and do 1.5 plus $1 million homes.
Do the bigger ones.
Yes, the bigger ones. Some of them have been affected by Harvey, and that's why we've decided to maintain where we're at, because of course we wanted to double our number. We're like, okay, we're doing 2 a month, let's do 4 a month. But now these are houses that are 6,000, 8,000, 9,000 square foot.
Right.
We're good still at the 2.
Well, yeah, because if you could, yes, you do 10 2,000 square foot houses,
Yes.
and you make, okay, 20, 30, 40 each, or whatever the numbers are.
Right.
Or you could do 1 or 2 of these big boys, and then, oh, by the way, I just profited $2 million.
Right. And one we actually wholetailed, so that was a piece of cake.
You're like, what were the numbers on that?
Okay. They were good. They were nice. They helped out a lot.
It helped?
They helped out with the increase that we had to pay our workers. So we're
Right.
good. Yeah, we're good. The numbers were really, really good.
So one thing that fascinates me is you work ESPN radio.
Yes.
So what is that all about?
So we had the opportunity through networking. I met a gentleman that is called the godfather of networking in the Hispanic community in Houston. And so he approached me, and he's seen a little bit of what I do, and he asked if we would be interested, Nelson and I, to be a part of ESPN Radio, have a radio show, and we would discuss real estate investing all in Spanish. And it's a huge market in Houston. I mean, Harris County is has the second largest Hispanic population in the entire, United States. So it was a no-brainer. So we decided to do it, and we've been doing really well. And now we're transitioning from ESPN Radio to Univision Radio, which is kind of like saying NBC, but in Spanish.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second, just because it fascinates me, and in the sense that you don't really think about in Spanish investing,
Right.
because for me, if I throw out marketing,
Yes.
maybe I throw out some Spanish marketing, maybe I throw out some bandit signs, whatever.
Right.
But I'm trying to get people that I could buy their house.
Right.
Well, if I'm a Hispanic, Spanish speaking,
Yes.
how am I going to buy somebody's house if they speak English, or do you think, okay, well, they probably speak English as well, or how does that?
Right. Well,
you see where I'm like,
I understand.
It's just,
I understand.
that's a good
so
idea.
we do both aspects. We do marketing to obtain buyers as well, because,
Right.
for example, when we do, I'm going to share a secret here.
Please do.
When we do bandit signs in Spanish, we get a lot of really good leads, and most of these leads, what we do is we analyze what the situation is. A lot of them are looking to buy a house, and they want to do owner finance, because their situation right now
Right.
is where they don't have the capability of getting conventional financing, so we'll help them out with owner financing. And some are saying, you know what, I have $30,000 and I really want to buy a house, and they're thinking they're going to put all $30,000 in a house. And that's where we say, well, wait a minute, why don't we help you? And we work together. We do JV, we'll do a joint venture, and we'll help you grow that money. Yes, the $30,000 is great, but how about you can make that into $60,000 or $80,000? So we work with them and we teach them how to invest. Since we speak Spanish and we have a team, an acquisitions team that can help us with that, they don't have to do all of that legwork.
So basically, you're building yourselves like little micro private capital banks.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, so you have
There you go.
reinventing yourself. You have to think, what we learned in 2007 was key. You cannot put all your eggs in one basket. You cannot
Right.
have one stream of income only. You have to have several streams of income happening at the same time, because if something happens, you have something else that you can fall back on.
And I love that whole concept. I love that idea, because too often, everybody's always looking for private capital. Everybody, that's why people network. They're looking for deals, they're
Yes.
looking for money, or they're looking for deals to place their money,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But I think too often we're looking for that person that has 10 million in the bank ready to allocate.
Right.
And yeah, that would be easier, but to find 10 people that all have 20,000 each,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that might be a little bit more work, but you still you probably is easier to find 10 people with 200 than maybe developing that relationship with that person that's going to give you the 200 in the first place.
Right.
So I think that's brilliant.
And and what we do is we teach or we mentor these people. We train them on how things are done. If they don't feel comfortable doing the marketing, they don't feel comfortable doing the negotiating, getting the contract, we'll do all of that. They'll step in once it's time to do the rehab. Some of them are like, I want to be part of the process. And that's great because we're helping grow people. That's key.
Well, on top of that, my brain is going, Ryan, you're an idiot. Why aren't you doing stuff like this? Oh, because you don't speak Spanish. But it's like what you could also do is once somebody has not given you money, but they invested their their $30,000 mattress money, and then they got their $5,000 back, $35,000 back. They're probably going to start being bird dogs to say, hey, look, I have a deal over here. I don't know what to do with it, but I know I can give you money and you could do something with it.
That's exactly what has happened. Yes, they become your bird dogs.
See, I'm smart too.
Because of course you are, yeah, and they believe in what you're doing because they see it.
I'm getting
Once
excited.
they see what you're doing and they actually can touch and see what a house looked like before, and then once we sell it, what it's like after, and they were part of that process, that's just like you're not only becoming rich, enriching yourself, you're enriching other people's lives.
The community,
and you're making a difference in the community. You're rehabbing communities and you're renovating communities and increasing the value of those communities.
Do you mind sharing how many of these partners you have on your books nowadays?
We have it's been quite a bit. Nelson, how many do you think? I mean, I don't know.
You don't.
Over 100
Over
people.
100 private capital
and this has
partners.
been throughout the years
Well,
that we've been working.
Of course,
yes.
yeah. But I mean, I'm only assuming. Again, there's a lot of assumption here.
Yes.
But if I'm not really keen on the investment world, but I trust you, and here's 20,000,
right.
and then in several months you give me my 20,000 back, which most people, probably nervous about that in the first place.
Sure.
But then on top of that, I've earned another grand or two,
exactly.
and I'm like, oh, this works.
Right. And
I'm probably
going
to keep doing it over and over and over.
Right. And they're learning how a flip is managed,
Yeah.
what is being done, and they're learning something else. They're learning something new. And again, that's where you reinvent yourself because you can lend and you can also learn how to do it and then do it on your own. We have several people that are already doing it on their own, and they're building their own thing, and they're doing something similar to us, or maybe copying our business plan. But it's okay because that's what it's all about. We have to share with each other the knowledge, the information, because we all have something to give. Your experience is different than mine, and it's not just saying that mine's more or yours more. It's just different experience, and it's all valuable at the end of the day.
So that whole private capital is not new, but who came up with that idea?
We both did.
It was on a napkin somewhere.
It was born on a napkin. Yeah, we were trying to sell homes. That's pretty much what we were trying to do.
That's
So we decided, okay, well, let's do them in Spanish. And I was a little bit wary at first. I was like, in Spanish, but is that really? So we went to key places in the city and we just threw them in Spanish, and we just had a huge response, and we went with it. It made sense to do it.
I'm just, because I know you throw out a marketing out there, especially for an owner finance sale.
Yes.
You get you get a huge influx of potential buyers for owner finance.
Right.
And some people throw those leads away because they're only looking for that one person, and some people keep it. Mitch Stephen, he's a big owner finance guy up in San Antonio.
Right.
If you've never heard of him, he was one of the speakers.
I listened to that, yes.
If you don't know who he is, we actually did a segment with him before. Check it out here.
It's really
Propelio.
awesome. Yeah, I was listening to that too.
But one of the tools he has, and I forgot what it's called, maybe Daniel, Livecom, is what he does is when people calls him for these leads, he enters them to his thing called Livecom. And forgive me if I'm not giving specifics because I just don't know.
Sure.
But the system is he builds a database of potential owner finance buyers. So when he gets a property, he pushes a button and it texts all those people, hey, I've got a house at 123 Main Street.
Yes.
Check it out.
Yes.
So you could take that tool, apply it to your tool where you've got your 100 people and you keep getting more. Hey, I got a potential deal over here. Who wants to be a part of it?
Right.
anyway,
Yep.
sorry.
No, that's great.
I get excited.
Yeah, because so many people have different type of business models, and something that we didn't think about, we can always, again, we learn from each other no matter what level of experience you have, whether you've only been in the business 1 year, 2 years, only had a few deals, we all have the potential to learn from each other.
I guarantee you everybody is on the phone right now trying to find a Spanish-speaking assistant to add this to your deal.
We can run your leads in Spanish. We have the capacity. We have the construction company. I mean, all of those things. That's why we decided to little by little tie things together. You know.
So I feel like I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Yeah, same here.
But you're like, well, let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway,
we have time restraints. I know.
If you have questions out there, please drop them in here. We're going to be in that wrapping up phase, but we'll obviously keep going as long as there's questions.
I love that comment from Jason Witherspoon. I need to learn some Spanish. Mi español no es bueno. Okay, no problem, Jason. Give us a call, and we'll help you run those Spanish leads.
So again, if you got questions, drop them in there. It looks like we've got one from Daniel.
I have a question here from Mark Boyd, and he's asking, why would somebody buy these homes that have already been flooded when there's a high probability that they could be flooded again? Why would somebody buy a house that is obviously in a floodplain?
Right. Well, I mean, people still need a house to live, and that's the reality. People are able to overlook that situation, whether it's flooded once, whether it's flooded twice. I do want to make emphasis on the fact that if a house is flooded more than once, it's a little bit difficult to move, but it's still happening because people are still buying. Again, they're not buying a house, they're buying numbers, like you guys we mentioned earlier. And that's the situation, is that you have a lot of investors going in, they're buying with their exit strategy being for owner finance or for rental, and it's worked.
And I think on top of that, you can always just look at New Orleans. New Orleans is a huge floodplain, and people keep buying it. But in the case of Harvey, wasn't Harvey like that 1 million year flood or type thing?
Correct. I mean, it'll be difficult, not impossible. I'm not the expert. I'm very far from it, and I'm not giving any type of advice here. But the situation is that it's difficult that it may happen again. It could, but we hope that the city will fix their infrastructure and get this taken care of and avoid from unnecessary flooding that happened in the city to happen again.
Umbrellas for the city. That's the next invention.
Yes, and inflatable dams too, because there was a house that was featured in the news that had an inflatable dam, and they were able to save their home. They didn't flood. So
Daniel.
So I don't see any other questions coming in, but we've had a lot of people saying thank you, great interview, thanks for the information, thank you for sharing with us. A lot of love coming from the crowd, and I personally wanted to say thank you for delivering so well.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time to come up here and be a guest.
Of course, and we'd love to come back again. I would love it. Maybe Nelson and I can be on here together.
We can make that happen.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Appreciate it.
Well, again, as far as what you got going on in Houston, I know you've got are you still doing ESPN, or did that transfer over into, I'm not even going to try to say the Spanish version of NBC?
Yeah, it transferred over to Univision, Univision Radio.
Okay.
And we are doing a recording, I believe, next week is our recording. So from ESPN Radio, we're going a little bit higher to Univision Radio, which is going to capture a bigger audience.
Awesome. So as far as if anybody's out there watching, how can they help you, and how can you help them? What are you looking for, and what do how can, business-wise, what are you looking for?
Business-wise, well, we're always looking for anybody that wants to reinvent themselves, and they want to leave their job. They want to learn a way to start their own business in real estate investing. We don't just teach or train people on how to wholesale, how to market, how to do this. We can train people how to start their real estate business and how to have a structure, a solid structure, solid foundation, something that we already went through. You don't have to go through the headache of having a contractor steal money from you, which is something that happened to us. And we lost a lot of money, over $30,000 from a contractor, and that's not going to happen with us. We have systems in place where we can help people reach that goal of leaving their job.
And when they do that, are they married to you to completely, or are they able to split away?
They're able to split away and do their own.
Because one of the things that kind of annoys me a lot about a lot of the training programs out there, they're just building glorified bird dogs. Versus, hey, like a JV is completely separate, and if you want a JV the rest of the time, cool.
Right.
But a lot of people, they want to get you just enough to bring me that really solid deal, and here's your pittance or whatever it's called.
We have different structures of the way we work with people that are starting. Some people just want to just say, okay, I only have $5,000, but I want to invest it in something, and we'll take it that way. Or we have people that want to JV right away and say, you know, I have $20,000-$30,000 and I want to learn how to flip homes, or I want to be, and so we'll take it the way, it's very personalized, because what we were doing is mentorship only, which is one-on-one, and that way you can just tailor what that person specifically is looking for. And we've mainly been working with people in corporate America. We're helping them get away from the job, you know, get away from being in that desk so many hours and just being alone in a sea of cubicles, getting out into the world and making a difference out here and helping us rehab these communities too.
So basically working with you is very individualized, because one of the things we talk about here is time and money. If you have a lot of time and no money, you can still do this. If you have a lot of money and no time, you can still do this. But you got to have one or the other.
Exactly. And here's key with us. The fact that I said earlier, we're a one-stop shop. I don't like to say that, but that's technically what our goal was. That way, if anybody wants to be part of our team or work with us, they only have to come to us, because we can do the marketing, the wholesale, the buy and flip. We have, and we are able to provide them with the numbers, because that's key. Again, like I think you said, is it Daniel? Daniel had said, well, you're buying numbers. Yes, you're buying a house, but you're really buying numbers, and that's key. Your numbers have to be right. So we in this case, you could use Propelio to help you get the CMA. If not, you can also work with a realtor, but in this case, Propelio is really, really good. I was tinkering with it and working on it, and it's pretty awesome. I really like it. And so you're able to get your CMA, and then you also want to have a construction company, a rehab company that can come in and give you accurate numbers, whether it's a house that has flooded, because that's key. We have experience in that, or a house that hasn't flooded. We can give you key numbers on that. And once you have those numbers correctly, you're able to determine if it's a good deal or not, you know, because people that are starting off and even people that are experienced are buying deals from wholesalers, even, you know, a lot of stuff on Facebook, I'm sorry to say, but it's running rampant in Houston, that people are daisy chaining, or their numbers it's really bad. I mean, some people
it's just because there's no deals, so they're just
taking them and adding $5,000 and just blowing it out there.
Are they at least
no JV agreement on it?
They're just trying to pre-sell it for them.
Exactly, yes.
Which is shady.
Super shady, and we're seeing that a lot in Houston. I mean, I don't know if maybe I have some people in there that can comment on that, but it's running rampant over there. It's terrible.
So that being said, if you come across a house, you want to make sure you see that original contract.
Correct.
It could be blacked out. Yeah, super legal. Thanks, Daniel. But it can be blacked out. But you need to be discussing. I don't know why I'm shouting, but you need to be.
You're excited. I mean, you're passionate about this.
If you're buying from a wholesaler, you need to make sure that wholesaler has what are the words I'm looking for, Daniel? Equitable interest.
Correct.
Equitable interest in the house, and that is through a contract. And they can black out whatever their purchase agreement is. That's fine, but you want to make sure that's there. So I didn't know that was going on in Houston so much. It goes on all the time.
We have now. It seems like we have now certain people that are like the wholesaling police on Facebook, because right away I can see like a deal's been blasted, and then someone says, "Hey, but that deal was blasted by somebody else yesterday, and it was for $7,000 less." And so people, it's just getting really wild, and you know,
I think at the end of the day, know your numbers.
Know your numbers. Yep. So and have the team that's with you that you can count on. Propelio, and you know your contractor that can give you the right numbers and help you just take that leap.
And before giving anybody money, make sure you vet them.
Yes.
As far as parting thoughts, I'll give you the last word. Or like, what's like the main number one advice that you could give to maybe a new investor, an expert investor, an investor, or just a human?
Okay, a human and anybody that wants to get into this. I think that first of all is if you have that desire to start something new, go for it. Even if it's one small step, and get with people that have the experience. I'm not saying you have to pay a mentorship of $30,000, which is, it's crazy insane how people are charging $10,000, 15. I mean, even when it gets up to that number, it's just mind-boggling to me that people are investing. I'd rather say, you know what, you have $10,000, invest that in a home, be part of a, be a lender, instead of paying somebody $10,000 to teach them how to invest in real estate.
All I can think about
crazy.
is, you give me the $30,000 and just go watch Propelio for free.
Yes, because you have some people that go, that do that are out of state, that you say, pay me $35,000 and you have into my amazing online university of investing. And so, not to knock anybody down, I'm not going to say names, but people do that. So anyhow, get with people that have the experience, whether it's mentorship, a JV, or whatever it is. Just get with somebody that knows what they're doing to help you and guide you.
And on top of that, I would say, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself.
Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. It can happen. We've done it multiple
Circling
times.
It back,
Yep.
Bringing it back to.
We've done it several times, and we're still doing it because
Always.
our desire is we're taking it to the next level in the next 5 years, and it'll be something that'll blow your mind. So,
well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for
Dennis,
having
thank you so
us.
much for coming
Thank
in.
you.
If you like this video, please give us a like. Please give us a share. Go into all your groups, whether you're in Chicago, you're in Florida,
Yes.
Arizona, Houston. Share it in one of the groups. Get us out there, because anytime we share it, Facebook says spammer. So, help us out.
Yes.
Get it out there.
And
But
my
again,
contact info will be in the comments below. I don't know if maybe Nelson is putting
you
them
can
in
shout
there.
them out.
Yeah, sure. We're our company is Houston REI Network, and you can contact us at 832-614-8832 or 713-550-3562. And we're also in Spanish. We speak Spanish. Give me a call if you're interested in helping us run your leads en
You can go
español.
you can say that in Spanish too.
Sí, si gustan, si necesitan ayuda en invertir, aprender cómo invertir en bienes raíces o quieren más información, por favor llámenos al 832-614-8832.
¿Qué?
Sí.
Sí.
Tequila. Vamos.
Hey, thank you so much again.
Thank you for watching.
We'll see you on Monday. I know you missed out on the San Antonio event.
did.
We're going to do it again next month,
Yes,
but we'll be in
we're
Houston
coming.
soon.
We'll be
We'll
here,
be in
yes.
Houston soon.
We'll
So
come.
thank you again for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. Take care. Have a great week.